How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Josh. I want to present this special edition of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. This is episode 86, our Super Bowl Shuffle edition for you Chicago listeners. I wasn't sure if I was going to do a podcast this week, but I thought it'd be fair to give one last go-around before we head into 2018. So here we go. Episode 86 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Let's get it.
But I guess Meltzer reported that this was all scripted. You know, all the lines were approved beforehand. There were a few ad-libs, obviously, with Cena. You know, when Reigns forgot his lines, Cena stepping in, and there was some, dueling ad-libs back and forth. But this was a scripted promo. I'm sure something like this has to be approved because
because Dave Meltzer knows everything. Dave Meltzer.
We'll get into
little dweeby.
We'll get into Dave Meltzer very shortly. How does WWE / the Superstars Wrestling view the dirt sheets / wrestling quote unquote journalists like Dave Meltzer and whatnot?
Yeah, they're not fond of them, as you can imagine. And I think probably the reason they're not fond of them is because when those guys get the information that they get, which is always inside information that spoils the fun of what somebody is in the WWE is trying to put out there for the fans. That what the WWE has to realize is there's somebody, some rat, some mole on the inside that's working, that's on the payroll for the WWE that is giving the information to these guys. I mean, to these dirt sheets and to these Meltzers and guys like that. That's the only way that they can get that information. And so that's frustrating, and that's hard to deal with, and that's that would make anybody upset. If you and I were sitting down and for weeks writing some kind of a script for a movie or a TV show or something like that, and then it's going to be a big surprise to the public, and then I find out or you go out and leak it out to somebody that writes it, that puts it in a newspaper article, and so that everybody can see it before it comes out. It just spoils the fun of everything, and I'd be really disappointed in you if you leak that information out. And that's what goes on with these dirt sheet guys. They're just there as I've never understood their purpose. They're really 99% of them are people who are not athletes, have never been in the business. They can't really respect the business or even like the business of wrestling. Or they wouldn't do that, I mean, we all know it's entertainment, and when you're watching a TV show or a movie, and you just start watching it, if somebody comes along and tells you how it ends or what's going to happen in the show before it happens, that's spoiling it for you, right?
Yeah. I
mean, that's why they call it spoilers, and that's all these guys are about. That's what they live to do, and I never could understand them, and I never liked him or had respect for him.
Would you call Meltzer a little dweeb? Is that what you said earlier?
Yeah.
So you don't like Meltzer at all, or just
no, not at all. But I'm never around him. I never see him or talk to him or anything. But I just don't like what he does.
But somebody has to be talking. I mean, has WWE ever done some stuff to find out who the leak is? Do they really care about that kind of stuff? Or
well, yeah, they care about it. Sure, they do. But it's. I guess when you got so many people working for you, it's hard to find who does that stuff. But then, I don't know. Then I think JR has done shows with Meltzer.
Yeah. I mean, I think people want to know the behind the scenes stuff because of, why.
Well, you know what? They only think they want to know.
Yeah.
They really don't. It really does spoil things for them when they know that. It would be much more fun to watch and much more entertaining if you didn't know that stuff.
Back in the day when I was in high school and, the Attitude Era was prevalent, when internet was just starting, I would go to Raja.com, which is a website that did like recaps and whatnot, and I would only read the spoilers when SmackDown was taped, and if I didn't watch SmackDown or something, or I'm not going to watch SmackDown, I would read the day before spoilers of the tapings. But I can only imagine what it is to be like a wrestling fan now. If I was a teenager, and spoilers are just everywhere, all over the internet, it wouldn't be fun. But
no, and you know what? I remember back in the day, one of the first guys, and I loved him, but I just couldn't understand the mindset of it or anything. But one of the first guys to start giving out a lot of the information to a friend of his, they put out one of the first quote unquote dirt sheets, was Eddie Gilbert down here in Memphis. He had some guy that he was a friend of his, and they put out these. I'll never forget. It was like a little. This was like you said, before the internet or computers or anything. He would put them out on a little 2 or 3 sheets of paper, and they'd staple it together at the top and mail them out to people.
What?
And so, oh yeah.
Wow. That's Well, what about these journalists who report on things like news, like, okay, so and so was fired because of this, or so and so is suspended because of this? What do you, things like that, non-spoiler stuff. Is that okay or no?
Well, are you talking about wrestling news?
Yeah, like the whole Paige situation. Paige is suspended, and people reporting things about her and Alberto Del Rio. No personal stuff, but also she's not going to be.
What do you mean? Not yes. It is always personal stuff.
Right.
That's what they love to dig into.
Yeah.
No, I don't like that at all. I don't like that when they try to dig into somebody's personal life. I really don't. That's not part of the. Somebody should get to have a little privacy in their personal life. That shouldn't be all part of the business. But when things happen that you're responsible for, then it does become like news, or it gets your personal life out there in public, and then it can't be helped. But I don't like it when they just go and try to dig behind the scenes stuff that has no really news value or anything like that to be out there.
So I enjoy Meltzer to a point. Some of the things, I like to know some stuff that's going on, but I can see why, someone like yourself in the business would call him a dweeb.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into episode 86 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, our year-end review special, coming to you live from my studio apartment here in the great city of Chicago, Illinois, the home of this past week's Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. I'll be talking about those shows. I got to attend both of those shows. And I'll give you my perspective going to these Christmas shows and provide some context of what's going to lead into 2018 for WWE programming. I got some predictions that I'm going to give out for WrestleKingdom 12. That'll be our final segment of the show this week. We are bringing back the Yacht Club. This will be our final episode of the year. I was just sure if I was going to record a podcast this week. Everybody is doing year-end review shows, award shows. I used to do award shows back then when I was doing the Pro Wrestling Experience. And when it comes to this show, I like to stray away from the trends that most wrestling podcasts do. I think you guys know that by now. But, I put the question out there on my Twitter account. And I asked simply, do you want me to do a year review? Do you want to hear my thoughts on this year as a whole for professional wrestling? And shout out to Mike at Main Event Swerve for reaching out to me saying, yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what's going on. And that means a lot to me because sometimes I don't know if you guys are truly interested in what I have to say in the world of professional wrestling. I'm not here to impress anybody. I'm not coming up with fake narratives and coming up here with this idea that I know booking better than anybody else, or you're never going to hear me talk about ass backward booking or writing and this and that. That's not my deal. That's not what I do here. But I'm here to entertain. I'm here to give you some thought-provoking content. And this is some real non-filtered shit here, guys. It's as simple as that. I'm Joshua Adam Lopez. Welcome to the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. You can like the Facebook page, facebook.com/JWL Podcast. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at NotoriousJoshi. You're hearing the song in the background, Sky's the Limit. This may be the last time you hear the song in the intro. I'm going to make some changes when it comes to this podcast coming into 2018, but one thing will remain the same. This is an audio-based podcast in all fronts. Not just me talking, not just being an audio platform on GarageBand in which I record this podcast, but audio based on the content of what we're talking about. And the same audio clips you'll hear from each show of Raw, SmackDown, or even pay-per-views, you'll hear on this podcast. I think I stressed the point over the last couple of months about context and how important it is, not only to wrestling, but just in life in general. Context is important. Facts matter. You know, I could come here and spread out the biggest hot takes of all time. But what am I going to get out of that? Some negative reaction? Something that I don't generally feel? I can spark conversation by being myself. I can spark interest being myself. And today's show is about reflection. And the monologue for this week's podcast is about reflection. Not only for this year of wrestling, but for me as a person, as a human being. And this has been a very challenging year, but it's been also a very reassuring year as well for yours truly. You know, I'm kind of put in a different position because I was born in May, so usually I'm transitioning from one year out of the next when it's summertime. So, like, I'm going to be 23 still when WrestleMania passed by. I'll still be 23 years old, but, you know, I started off the year 22. I went to WrestleMania in Orlando at the age of 22. I turned 23 in May. And this year's had its ups and downs. Things I've done or said that I'm not proud of. There's been reconciled. There's been fixed relationships. There's been a lot of transparency and looking myself in the mirror that I've been having to do for the last couple of months. I've been going back to the gym since July. That's been a process. Something that I feel like I'm getting better with the time and get back in the groove of things after the new year. By the way, I want to say this. I hope everybody had a great Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate over the weekend. I had a good Christmas. Usually, like, I'm one of those guys, I'm not a Grinch. I want to throw that out there. I'm not a Grinch, but when it comes to, like, holidays, like Easter and Thanksgiving and Christmas, I kind of... it's not that I'm indifferent, but I just never understand how people just become so, like, stressed out and miserable to deal with during holidays. Like, you could be having the greatest mood ever the night before a holiday, but, because you're going to your family's house, you have to put this fake persona on. You gotta put this face mask of, I gotta be prim and proper. I got to impress people. I had to, I'm putting unforeseen pressure on myself for absolutely no reason. Who are you to impress? They're family. They love you either way. This is something that's been bothering me for years. These people I've been around and people I know personally, I don't know why we stress ourselves out or find ways to be miserable on holidays. I'll never understand it. It's not that I don't like Christmas. It's not that I don't like Thanksgiving. It's not that I don't like hanging out with my family. I do, but I don't understand the phoniness that comes with certain gatherings. Like, I'm not a phony person. I don't care if it's Easter, Christmas, the New Year's, whatever holiday it is, you're still going to get the same me. Some days I might be feeling down. Some days I'll be upbeat. I'm just like any of you guys. I'm not perfect. I have my mistakes. I have my flaws. But also, you know, I hate the perception of being labeled not outgoing. There's a quote that I shared on Instagram a couple months ago that says, "It's not that I'm not." interactive or not social, I just have nothing to say to you. If I don't like you, I'm not going to talk to you. If I have nothing to say, I'm not going to start conversations just for the sake of starting them. It's like, and it's not like I'm telling people, oh, you have to start a conversation or I won't talk to you. It's not like that, but a lot of times it's either I'm zoning out or in general I'm indifferent to the surroundings I'm by. And it's not that I have ADD or anything like that, because I'm good with having attention to details. Like, I don't lose focus, but at the same time, I'm not looking for attention in a way, if that makes sense. I'm not looking for approval. You know, if you want to talk to me, you want to see how I'm doing, awesome. I'd be down to have that conversation with you. I'm always down to help people feel better about themselves and provide some context into their life and make them think about things from a different light. I'm never going to dictate what anybody does with their life. They do what they do. I do what I do. But in reflection of this year, I felt like I've grown in that area where I'm not forcing myself to be stressed out by things that are out of my control, I guess. And I talked about that a lot in this podcast over the year. You know, one of the reasons why I kind of changed the format of this show was because I did want to talk about this life situations and conversations. This is the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, but this is also my podcast too. I like to let you guys into my life and let you know what I'm dealing with. This is the platform where I get to air out my grievances. This is the podcast where I get to be myself without any restrictions or this or that. This is an audio-free podcast. Now, I'm not going to come in here and motherfuck this, motherfuck that every other 5 seconds unless I have a rant to do. But I'm here to entertain you and give you thought and maybe get you to think about things that you're struggling with and how you could fix that and how you could grow as a person. And I think I've done that for better or worse. I left WrestleZone. You know, I got the bad stick of the deal there with them not paying me and not respect me for the amount of work I put into that website. I had to leave. You know, I wish I was making money. I wish I was making a weekly paycheck for doing these type of articles. But you know what? You want to do something right? You got to do it yourself. That's why I started my website. I made changes by leaving a network that was run by people that I don't have respect for. And I made that change. I distanced myself from people who are shady. I distanced myself from people who only have their best interests and have. It's like, oh, I'm just a pawn of scheme. You can use me whenever you want. Nobody's gonna use me anymore. I don't care if it's women. I don't care if it's workers. I don't care what it is. You're not using me. It's that simple. I'm very professional. I'm easy to get along with. I'm not a hard guy to deal with. But don't fuck with me. It's that simple. Don't fuck with me. I'm not one to be fucked with. Trust me. I'm very good with trusting my instincts, and I know what's right in my heart for what I want to do. And I want to help out with people who give me opportunities. But you also have to do the same in return. It's not only a paychecky thing either, though. It's about respect. And I had somebody who's going to do a little shady, sneaky thing to kick me out of a podcast I used to do with Rob. But I decided on my own to leave. Not to quit, but I wasn't going to allow that person to have the honor or privilege of kicking me out of the show. Out of how many times we had to cancel shows and record on different times and this and that. Boy, it doesn't work like that. You know, I don't tolerate that crap. I don't care what community, neighborhood, whatever you want to call it. I don't deal with that crap. You want to call me unprofessional? Go ahead, because I'm not. You know, trying to make an excuse to find reasons to kick me out of the show, and I find out the week of that you're going to kick me out of the show without telling me to my face that you're going to kick me out of the show. It ain't no work like that. I'm the unprofessional? No, It's the other way around. And wrestling-wise, it's been a very fulfilling year for me from a writing standpoint. I felt like I've grown a lot as a play-by-play writer for my website. I felt like I got better as the pay-per-views gone by. Everybody's been doing like categories and stuff like, oh, what's the match of the year? What's the pay-per-view? What's the biggest disappointment? This and that. I'm just going to be speaking in general terms of what I thought about this year in wrestling as a whole. We'll start off with Impact. With the exception of Eli Drake and Rosemary, this year of Impact has been just about the same as the last 7 years. Not much to look forward to, just shows that are just there. Yeah, you have some nice little in-between TV matches here and there. Most of the pay-per-views sucked. That's my thoughts on Impact. Ring of Honor, I kind of lost interest in Ring of Honor. I don't know why. I don't know what the reason is, but I haven't been really interested in watching their TV shows. I've barely covered any of their pay-per-views this year. I think it's cool with what Cody Rhodes is doing outside WWE and reinventing his character and making some changes and joining the Bullet Club and all the stuff they're doing with Hot Topic and all that. That's fine, and I have a lot of respect for those guys and what they do for the independent scene, and I appreciate good hustlers from good hustlers. Trust me, I'm a hustler too. I have a lot of respect for what those guys do, but Cody leaving WWE and going to Ring of Honor, I thought that would spark more interest, but for me, I've been kind of indifferent. Like, I think I covered one Global War show, and I think that's one of the few, if any, pay-per-views I covered for Ring of Honor this year. And that's it. And the only reason why I covered that show is because it was in Chicago. So Ring of Honor had been hit and miss with, as far as I'm concerned. New Japan, it's been very nice to me. I got to cover a lot of their shows this year. I took the challenge of covering the G1 Climax tournament for the first time. It was a challenge. Trying to remember 16 guys' movesets and guys that you don't really cover on a weekly basis, it's not easy. And a lot of the times, a lot of the shows were done in Japanese commentary, but I've gotten such a groove of covering New Japan shows over the last 3 to 4 years that I understand now what sequence is here. What's the name of these guys' finishing moves? There's so many different super kicks and clothesline variations and fireman takeover slams and all these other fancy moves out there. But all these wrestlers have different names and gimmicks attached to them. So I want to respect the wrestlers by naming those particular moves. So, I've had to done a lot of research for a lot of those guys. And I have no problem doing that. I'm grateful for Kevin Kelly and Don Callis for helping me learn a lot more about these guys' backgrounds, its characters, and also the movesets as well. Same thing goes with Matt Striker and Vampiro for Lucha Underground, which had another great year. And I'm very happy that there's going to be a season 4 of Lucha Underground. This past season was really awesome from top to bottom with the evolution of Johnny Mundo's character as a heel as one of the top guys. I thought there was some nice added layers to Prince Puma. Katrina is still the hottest woman I've seen on television. And Dario Cueto is still probably the best on-air promoter of all wrestling right now. And there's a lot of twists and turns that happen at Ultima Lucha Tres this year, but I'm very interested to see what the future holds for Lucha Underground, and I want it to continue to succeed because I love covering Lucha Underground. It's my second favorite promotion out of this entire business, so I love Lucha Underground. Now, going back to New Japan, later on in the show, we're going to be making our predictions for WrestleKingdom 12, which will be happening next Thursday. But I wanted to take some time to, again, just give a shout out to the company as a whole in the entire roster because, I've covered WrestleKingdom events before, but I never went fully in depth into the shows like I have this year. Like, I covered New Year's Dash. I covered the Long Beach shows that happened in July. I've covered Power Struggle, Dominion, so many other shows this year. I said Power Struggle before, right? Some of these big name shows that I've covered for New Japan, and it's helped me gain a newfound respect for their style of wrestling. And I've never just been a one company guy. I want to enjoy all products. Like I mentioned before, Impact and Ring of Honor just doesn't do it for me right now. I enjoy Lucha. No, I love Lucha. And I enjoy New Japan. And I still love WWE. WWE will always be number one for me. I just sounded like Kurt Angle right there. WWE. So, I just want to give a shout out to New Japan because they've been really cool to me just as a product as a whole. I don't have a working relationship with New Japan, but I would like to. It would be cool to call one of their matches one of these days. So, this is just my thoughts on New Japan. And then, as far as WWE is concerned, we'll start off with NXT. NXT is not my favorite brand on the entire WWE. I'm sorry for those that get annoyed by that. I don't mind covering their weekly shows. Some of them are not watchable. I don't think every character on there is great. The takeovers are good. They're not the greatest things since sliced bread. I like NXT. I'm not in love with NXT. And a lot of the social media reaction to NXT has kind of turned me off to the brand. I'm going to be honest. I don't sugarcoat shit here. A lot of the fan reaction to these takeovers and how they go out of their way to shit on the main roster the next day, even though it's the same company, I don't think that's cool. So that's my thoughts on NXT. 205 Live, it's been a nice escape for me because I like in-ring wrestling. I like good technical wrestling matches. I like transcribing those type of matches. And 205 Live has provided that a lot. And it also has added some good elements of comedy, like a Drew Gulak. Even though I don't like him as a person, even Enzo's had his his hits on the mic when it came to 205 Live. Seeing guys like Kira Tozawa and D. Brian Kendrick and Cedric Alexander make a name for themselves in these really good, hard-hitting technical matches. I like 205 Live. It's like my friend Brett Carter feels like at times that we're the only 205 Live fans out there, but I enjoy covering 205 Live every single week, and it was cool getting to watch 205 Live this week in person, so we'll talk about that later. And then when it comes to the main roster, it's been a good year. This is going right off the bat. I felt that all Big Four shows delivered in their own way. I loved the Rumble. I thought AJ and Cena was a classic. I really enjoyed the Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens match as well, which was for the Universal title. And then, of course, the Rumble was always entertaining as well. And also, Charlotte and Bayley didn't have that bad of a match either, too, because I remember they opened the show. And then WrestleMania, nobody will ever take that away from me. To be there in person and experience that show from top to bottom, and how many people were trashing Shane McMahon versus AJ Styles before it even happened, and they stole the show, it made me very proud that night. I loved the Seth Rollins and Triple H match. I loved just the ending when it happened with Undertaker. He even had a nice little sentimental moment with John Cena getting engaged with Nikki Bella. That's cool. John Cena's not my favorite guy on the roster, but to see emotional moment like that, it's cool. I don't mind it. Just overall, I really enjoyed that WrestleMania, and even seeing Kevin Owens against Chris Jericho, which was one of my favorite feuds from this year. I just thought that was awesome. SummerSlam, no exception. Seeing the rise of my boy Jinder Mahal was really cool for me. Seeing Braun Strowman take his next step to the next level. Even seeing little dimensions added to the Kevin Owens character was interesting. This whole feud with Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon has been fun from top to bottom, going back to the summertime. I loved Survivor Series. If you asked me, like from 3 to 1, like what's my top 3 pay-per-views Yeah, what's the top 3 pay-per-views that I've seen so far from WWE? It would go like this. Number 1, WrestleMania, and it's not close. I think that Taker moment is a moment that will never be forgotten in wrestling history. Number 2 will be Survivor Series. I really enjoyed Survivor Series from top to bottom. I thought it was a really, really fun show. And I even liked the Raw vs. SmackDown match. It's just too unfortunate that Nimrods and booking experts lost the entire purpose of what that match was supposed to be. Everybody's like, oh, you're only focusing on the old guys. Well, the youngest guy at the show got the biggest spotlight and closes out the show. So, hey, what do I know? And then number 3 would be SummerSlam. I really feel, in my opinion, the Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, and Samoa Joe Fatal 4-Way match of SummerSlam was probably the match of the year from the WWE, in my opinion. There's other ones that stand out, of course. I mentioned before John Cena and AJ Styles. You could go to... there's been a lot of good TV matches too, so I know I'm going to be missing a lot of them. Like, even the bar against Ambrose and Rollins at SummerSlam, I thought that was awesome. The New Day and the Usos rivalry speaks for itself. Hell, even Roman and Braun Strowman had barn burners of matches on pay-per-views and Raw that I won't forget. Roman Reigns kicked total ass this year. Roman Reigns... that definitely is his yard. Even The Miz, The Miz had a great year as well. Not only in the ring, but also on the mic too. And I like The Miz, and I like to see what happens with him in 2018. The women have all stand out in their own way. We had our very first women's Money in the Bank ladder match, which was a very historic moment, which ended up being Carmella being the holder of the Money in the Bank briefcase, and she's yet to cash in. We'll see what happens with that in 2018. We had the announcement for the Women's Royal Rumble match, which is really cool. And you've seen the rise of Asuka go up from NXT to the Raw roster. And you have also seen other character development on the show, like for the SmackDown brand. Like, I loved what Naomi did this year. I thought she took a big step. I've grown indifferent to Sasha Banks. Sorry. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me. I've just grown indifferent to her character. Charlotte's still Charlotte. Charlotte will always do the best, at least in the ring. Becky Lynch, I think she may be the most underrated performer in all of wrestling. Not only female, but just in general. I think Becky Lynch is very underrated for what she does inside the ring. And then, finally... we got the return of my favorite Paige, so that made my day really good. And also Mickie James too. I can't forget about that. Number 1 to number 2 in the waterfall categories, Paige and Mickie James. Good year for yours truly. And then finally, the one that really stood out the most out of the rest, the best character in the women's division in all professional wrestling is Alexa Bliss. And it's not even close. Anybody that tells you that she's not a good in-ring worker are also the same people will get on soapboxes because their favorite superstars don't have the greatest win-loss record. Those are the same people who bitch and moan on podcasts about booking 24/7 because that's their only talking point when it comes to topics, because they don't have the intelligence or the smart to talk about big picture topics when it comes to these feuds and angles. What are we only talking about? We're only talking about how the booking did this or how the booking affected that. That's not me. That's not what I do on this show. Alexa Bliss is the best character in all professional wrestling from the female side. What she does in the ring works for her character. Her promos beats everybody. And I mean everybody, including Sasha, including Paige for now. I'm not going to rip Paige right now because she just came back. And unfortunately, she had an injury that happened at a house show the other day. I hope she gets better. But I know Paige will get back to my rankings high very soon. I'm not worried about that. But when you want to talk about the overall standpoint and the overall character, Alexa Bliss beats everybody, and it's not even close. So that's my opinion. I think Alexa Bliss really stood out, and I thought that promo she cut on Raw this week really solidified the fact that she was the best female wrestler of the year. And as from a heel, I wouldn't blame her for saying that she's responsible for the Women's Royal Rumble match. Go ahead, knock your socks off. So, Alexa Bliss, you get my seal of approval. Alexa Bliss, the standard bearer for female wrestling in 2017, and it's not even close. So, that's my thoughts on 2017. It's been a very interesting year from a personal standpoint and a professional standpoint. Later on in the show, I'm going to be talking about my goals and some things I'd like to see changed for the WWE towards the end of this podcast. But right now, I want to provide the last Yacht Club moment of the week for 2017. I found a Dave Meltzer clip, and how ironically Dave Meltzer would talk about a segment that happened in Chicago with John Cena and Elias. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Here's the final Yacht Club audio moment of the week, brought to you by the Jerk-Offs at Wrestling Observer Newsletter. When we come back, we'll talk about this past week's Raw and SmackDown Live in Chicago, in which you're truly got to see live. We'll be right back. This is the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, the Super Bowl Shuffle Edition.
You know what I'm gonna do about it? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna tweet my displeasure. That's right. I'm gonna jump on social media and I'm gonna tweet about it until my fingers bleed. I might even send an Instagram or a Vine. That's right. And on that tweet, in that tweet, and however many characters I get, I am gonna threaten. That's right. If I don't get what I want, I'm gonna riot. And if that doesn't work, then by God, me and my friend Mark, we're gonna stop watching. That's right.
A lot of our guys, unfortunately, listen to the people on the internet who are the so-called, the so-called experts who've never laced up a pair of boots.
Good or bad, the internet?
The ones that call themselves experts and, and have all these, the cures for the ailments of our business. You know what? I think they're a big joke. And the people that buy into this, they're only smart because of what we let them be smart too. But you listen to them, and they've got all the answers, and this guy needs to be put.
Good. Where's the smart marks at?
There, talk to him.
Good. Can I?
Yeah, I would love you to.
Can I really?
You know how I feel.
Can I swear?
Absolutely. Ask your friends over here.
All right, fuck you. And this is my biggest problem with the so-called fans and stuff like that. Like they have these words in their lexicon that they read on the internet from
someone else,
like Meltzer or something like that, and they use them out of context. They have no idea what it means. You know what I mean? And I actually I said this to one of my writers one time. They said something like, "Oh, and then you're going to do this, and then you're going to get heat." And I said, "Stop! No,
that's not how it is."
I said, "You don't even know what that word means. You have no idea what that word means." And these people run around and be like, "Oh, you guys need to do this," and Paul Bear, disrespectful, and it's just cheap heat, and it's not. You don't know what heat is. You don't know what cheap heat is. Shut the fuck up and watch the show.
Well said. Thank you.
You could take any one of those people and you can give them the position of booker and they would lose their mind. Everyone loves being negative. Everyone loves, they shouldn't have done that. Punk came back too soon. They did it. And it's just like, shut up and enjoy it. I know sometimes it gets really, really bad. And then you can be vocal about that, but it's just like nobody lets anything play out. They forget. It's like they almost forget that there's going to be a Raw next week.
It was just like, oh, God, those gimmick street fight matches they have on these shows but whatever.
So anyway, this John Cena segment opened up with him coming out, and actually first he comes out, hands his shirt to fan at ringside. Fans are chanting Merry Christmas, offers him cheers.
He gave it to some kid who was wearing the wrong colors.
That's right.
So I guess old John Cena merchandise rather than new John Cena merchandise.
Middle of his speech when the Drifter comes out, WWE says stands for Walk with Elias. Fans are chanting yes, yes, yes. Drifter says, I'm sick of being interrupted every week. The fans chant for CM Punk. And Elias says, one thing's for damn sure, CM Punk is not going to interfere tonight.
Yeah, and then John Cena started bringing up CM Punk, and they chanted it over and over again. I mean, that was one where John was trying, they really, really, really were trying to get John Cena over with the crowd, which did work in the sense that, the crowd wasn't split. I mean, the crowd was for John Cena, but unfortunately it backfired because they were chanting CM Punk over and over and over again at poor Elias, who, basically did blame John Cena for it, which, I think they would have chanted it once. Well, they did. And then John Cena was, encouraging it, so they kept doing it.
So Drifter plays a song, buries Chicago. Cena tells him he's a jerk. Elias says, I'll try it again. And he's less of a jerk the second time and hands off the song to Cena. Cena's going to sing, another singer here on this show. And Elias punches him in the face and lays him out. I think he actually punched the mic, but it sounded like he punched Cena in the face, and it was a great sound effect, so that was cool. Mm-hmm. So he challenged him to a match. As noted, 17 minutes or whatever.
16.
Crowd's dead. They're going for these near falls, STF. Drifter hits his finish. Nobody cares. They start chanting, this is boring. So Cena does his finish, AA, and gets the win. We've talked more than enough about this particular match here.
There you have it, folks. The final Yacht Club audio moment of the week. We'll advance the presentation of this segment more as we head into 2018 with more clips from different podcasts. And if you ever have any suggestions for the Yacht Club audio moment of the week, please send it to me on the Twitter account for yours truly at Notorious Joshi, or in my email account at prowrestlingtranscriptions@gmail.com. Here we go, folks. Let's take a look at this past week's Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live in my hometown of Chicago, Illinois.
I love the holidays because the holidays is about togetherness. And no matter where I go, no matter what I do, I let everybody know that WWE is my home and you are my family. And like a typical family, we've had some ups, we've had some downs. So I just want to say cheers. Cheers to the good times, to the bad times, but cheers on a special day like today. I can look around and see us all be together. I couldn't think of a better place than right here, right now, to tell you
Merry Christmas, baby! It's Elias!
please, whatever you...
John.
No, I just wanted to tell you.
Stop.
Listen, man, I'm trying to help you out here. Please.
Hey.
No, just...
No.
This one
Stop.
time. Don't just... Come on.
Stop. No. John. Well, it's Christmas time in Chicago. Yes, it's Christmas today. I couldn't imagine a worse place to spend my holiday.
No. 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 Stop. Stop. Stop playing. Stop it. Turn on the lights. Turn on the lights. You know, I was willing to give you a chance, man, and I was trying to tell you before you started playing your song not to say anything bad about Chicago. This isn't a bad place to spend the holidays. Look around you, man. People as far as the eye can see. They're dressed for the occasion. They're excited. They're making noise. They're chanting at the top of their lungs. And you actually play okay, but every single song you play, you get to a point where you call people in the audience jerks. No.
I feel like I speak the truth, you know? I speak the truth.
No, man, no. They're just trying to tell you how they feel. They're not the jerks. You're being a jerk. It's Christmas, it is. Hit it one more time.
For sure, for sure. Well, it's Christmas time in Chicago. Oh, it's Christmas Day. I can't imagine a better place to spend my holidays. Why don't you take it away, John? You feeling good?
So have yourself a merry little...
Oh! Saint Nick.
Nice job, ladies, every single week. Wow. Easy, I tell you. Oh, you guys following us today? Okay, well, we're just gonna let you tell you something really, really freaking smart, okay? You need to step away because this is absolution. Let me introduce to you, Sonia Deville, one more time, and Mandy Rose. And this is why they're my teammates, because every single week we keep dominating this women's division, and we're gonna continue to do so until we reclaim that ring, and we are gonna make it our house. Get out of my face. Come on, lady. Bye-bye.
Jinder tonight advancing in the United States Championship tournament. How does the United States Championship and your goal get attained?
We are here in Chicago where I became WWE champion. And how fitting is it that I advance in the tournament for the United States Championship? I am the man that brought class, dignity, and diversity to the WWE Championship, and I'm going to do the same to the United States Champion. What better representative of the United States than the modern-day Maharaja? Imagine the 1.3 billion people of the great nation of India with an additional 325 million. That sounds great. I already feel like the United States champion. Hold on, let's go, son. Let's go celebrate victory.
Last week, you said that I was turning into Mr. McMahon, something I take great exception to. Now, I know, my dad is not the easiest guy, and from a business standpoint, it's not the easiest to get along with him. I realize all of those things. It's very important that we stay focused on certain things. The fact that, Vince specifically, well, look, he can be ruthless. His management style can be ruthless, cold, calculating. He could be a mean SOB. We all agree on that. And believe me, I've had to deal with it too. But give the man his due, okay? You got to give the man his due. He has built this business brick by brick. He's built this empire by himself. He has worked diligently and hard. He has changed sports entertainment into what it is today. He has redefined this business. And more so, at the end of the day, he's my father.
Shane, I understand all that. And you're right. I'm not trying to undermine what Mr. McMahon has accomplished. Just trying to say you've been throwing your weight around a lot lately, and that seems a little bit to me like some of the aspects of your father that aren't so good.
Throwing my weight around? I mean, kind of like you are with the United States Championship Tournament. Now, Baron Corbin specifically, I mean, he has a legitimate gripe because he was the former champion and is guaranteed a rematch. I'm questioning your logic a little bit. why wouldn't you just make Baron Corbin versus Bobby Roode? I'm sure Bobby Roode doesn't want to go through an entire tournament either.
Well, this is the land of opportunity, and I thought the best idea was to give an opportunity to several superstars.
But let me go into tonight's main event. Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles? The main event of SmackDown Live tonight? This is something I'm questioning because I just don't understand where you're coming from on this. And now, granted, I know it's non-titled, but what on earth also about, did you ban Sami Zayn from ringside? No. So we all know primarily how that will turn out. Do you think these guys deserve that opportunity? Daniel, I just want to say, something that, perception is reality. And I want to make sure that, people aren't feeling that you're showing a lot of favoritism towards those guys. And granted, I'm not accusing you of anything, but people are saying that there's a lot of favoritism being shown to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn by you. And I just want to make sure that my general manager is beyond reproach.
Well, if you want to know my reasoning, AJ Styles and Kevin Owens was one of the most vicious, heated rivalries of all of 2017. I thought, why not end the year with one more match?
Okay.
I just want to make it really clear that it wasn't me in the background chanting "yep" like a seagull, even though that was pretty funny. Listen to this back now. But welcome back to the show, everybody. We're going to talk a little bit about Raw and SmackDown this week before we get to our predictions. Yes, for WrestleKingdom 12 coming up next Thursday. Talk about Raw and SmackDown. They were here in Chicago at the Allstate Arena. Looking to expect to hear an announcement pretty soon for the WWE as far as when they're coming to Chicago next, because there may be a possibility of WWE bringing the shows to the United Center, which would be one of the ultimate gifts for me, because for those that don't know, my house driving distance is 5 minutes away from the United Center. So I think that's pretty freaking cool to think about having a WWE show at the United Center where it's literally like that close from my house. Like, sign me up. Give me the papers. I'll go there in a hot second. Even if it's a house show, I'll go to that. But, some people probably question you and be like, why would you go to a wrestling show on Christmas Day? Don't you want to spend your time with family? I think it's pretty well established by the fact that wrestling is my life. Wrestling is what makes me happy. Wrestling is my escape. Wrestling is everything to me. Besides doing the broadcasting stuff and music and sports, wrestling is everything to me. And I wouldn't think of a better way to finish my Christmas Day than watching a wrestling show with my Uncle Jeremy, who's also a wrestling fan, by the way, who also went to the show with me Monday and Tuesday. I wouldn't think of a better way to spend my Christmas Day. I don't give a flying fig Newton about that stupid-ass boycott that Vince Russo did in regards to, they shouldn't work on Christmas Day. They don't respect Christ. This dude is the fakest Christian I've ever seen in my entire life. Write this down in the headline, and I don't even care if it gets sent to him. Vince Russo is the fakest Christian I've ever seen in my entire life. Boom. Period. In the words of my friend Brian Snow, period. There you go. So let's talk about the shows. Always nice to see John Cena at the building that he made his debut in 2002. Really cool segment with him and Elias, and watching the match in person wasn't as bad as people were making it out on social media. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of arm bars and chin locks and stuff, but I enjoyed that match for what it was. But also the segment beforehand, I thought that was pretty cool too. Elias got the rub to spend 40 minutes with John Cena to start off a show like that. Not a lot of performers get that, so I think he maximized his TV opportunity, and that also shows what the WWE thinks about Elias. To have him start off a show in Chicago, especially knowing with how the crowd is. That was a big night for Elias, and I'm very happy for the guy. I mentioned the Alexa Bliss promo from earlier that show. Perfect. Asuka declared that she's entering the Rumble match. She lays out Alexa Bliss with a kick. No problem with that. Nice to see Paige in person again. The hottest woman in all space and time was at the Rosemont Horizon. Nice to see her. I really enjoyed that 6-man tag team match they had with Bayley, Sasha, and Mickey. I thought that was a very good match. All 6 ladies brought their working boots, and I thought it was a pretty solid match. Speaking of bringing your working boots, how about that Roman Reigns Samoa Joe IC title match? I'm telling you guys, whenever they get Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe on a pay-per-view, that is going to steal the show. No commercial breaks, no extra nonsense. Just them one-on-one. That match is going to be a barn burner. Don't care who wins. I want to see Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe on a pay-per-view. I have no problem that they're doing these rematches with them, but I want to see the match on live pay-per-view. I think that'd be awesome. It'd be a really cool scenario. Braun Strowman whooped ass as the Miztourats were singing Merry Miss carols throughout the night, which I thought was pretty funny. We have new Raw Tag Team Champions. Seth Rollins and Baby Kurt defeated the Bar in a very good tag team match to close out the show. And also, Chicago was blessed with a great gift. We got to see Woken Matt Hardy in the ring for the first time. It wasn't just any promos or vignettes in the background. We finally got to see Woken Matt Hardy as the character in Chicago. I think that's awesome. While Chicago didn't get the first Woken Matt Hardy match, I'll take that as a fellow Chicagoan that I got to see Woken Matt Hardy in a ring, in an actual WWE Live arena, as his character like that on television. That was awesome. I was marking out. I was doing the whole delete stuff. Perfect. I loved it. It was really cool to see that. Wish you cut a promo, but that wasn't the case. By the way, a lot of folks were wondering why the fans were chanting delete during the Cesaro Sheamus backstage promo. It wasn't about the promo. Matt Hardy was getting such a lot of pop. I guess the city still wanted to see him in the ring and cut a promo. So Matt Hardy was still doing his tactics outside the ring. And then when he came up to the stage, he was conducting us with a whole big delete chant. So that's why there was delete chants during the Cesaro Sheamus backstage promo. So that was Raw. That was a lot of fun on a Christmas night. I wasn't sure what we were going to get. We did have one Miracle on 34th Street fight. But even then, I thought the Cruiserweights brought it too. So it was just a really fun night of wrestling. It was laid back. Maybe besides the Samoa Joe Roman Reigns match. But I just saw from top to bottom, I thought it was some good stuff. And I'm glad they added some storyline development for the brand, for Raw, going into 2018. And also for SmackDown, too. You know, yes, these are Christmas shows, and usually you think, oh, they would book a house show type of show. But that wasn't the case. I think they did what they needed to do and hit what they needed to hit as far as storytelling is concerned heading into the Rumble pay-per-view for both shows. And I just want to give props for the company for that, because they don't get that recognition because, hey, right, they're incompetent. They don't know how to tell stories, right? Let's talk about SmackDown. I'll tell you this, man. I've seen loud reactions in Chicago for CM Punk. I've seen loud reactions for Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne in that arena. I've even seen loud yes chants even when the yes movie was going on before WrestleMania 30 in that building. This Russo Day thing is for real. It's legit. I'm so happy for Rusev. He's not my favorite guy in wrestling, but I am a fan of his. This whole Rusev Day thing is legit. They're chanting it. They love it. I heard today that Rusev Day t-shirt is the top merch seller for WWE.com right now. I think that's awesome. I'm very, very happy for Rusev and Aiden English, who's also a Chicago boy, so I want to give a shout out to him. Rusev Day is for real, and I couldn't be happier for both guys. The chants were for real. It was really awesome to be there in that atmosphere for Rusev Day. Other stuff on the show that stood out to me, I really like that backstage promo I aired for you guys, the Shane McMahon, Daniel Bryan one. That's why I played it for you guys. We had the announcement of the U.S. Championship Tournament. Dolph Ziggler relinquished the title, so we're going to have a new vacant at WWE Vacant, by the way. Shout out to him. That's one of the best Twitter accounts out there today. WWE Vacant should be in the tournament, but that's neither here nor there. So I have a feeling that my boy, the modern day Maharaja, Jinder Mahal, will become your new United States champion at the Royal Rumble. And I have no problem with that. Sign me up. You want Jinder as the U.S. champion? Talk about the heat this guy is going to get even more. You thought it was bad with him being the WWE champion? Wait for the heat he's going to get with the U.S. title. And honestly, I wouldn't mind him changing it to the Indian title. Why not? So, yeah, I'm going to go with Jinder to win that tournament. The brackets were revealed. There's some interesting pairings right there. We'll see it for the second rounds. And obviously, the final match will happen at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. So, looks like we're going to get Jinder Mahal against Bobby Roode. And I think that'd be a pretty good match, to be honest with you. You know, you got Bobby Roode as the babyface. You got Jinder as the heel. I think that sparks a good business in the mid-card for that pay-per-view. So, that's my thoughts on that. And then we had the controversy with the Yep movement and AJ Styles. AJ Styles took out Kevin Owens in the main event, which was a good match. And then Shane McMahon ejects Sami Zayn from ringside. AJ Styles has the cover, and he has Kevin Owens pinned in the center of the ring. The referee's distracted. Owens turns a small package into an inside cradle with a handful of tights. He picks up the victory. Controversy galore. AJ is pissed at Shane McMahon. And it looks like we're going to get some tension spewing more even for the SmackDown Live going into 2018. So that's my thoughts. You know, I had a good time at these shows in Raw and Chicago. I enjoyed watching 205 Live in person. That was really cool. Little funny story, I actually snuck from the upper deck section with my uncle to the lower levels after SmackDown Live was over, and I got some extra nice cooler seats that are closer to the arena without the security people noticing. The art of hustling in that arena is phenomenal. Yes. I just get motivated every time I go to a WWE show in Chicago. And I always stated the goal here for me was to work for the WWE one day and hopefully call a show at the Rosemont Horizon or the Allstate Arena, whatever you want to call it. One day, I will call a WWE show in that building. And that's my ultimate goal, and I'm going to achieve it. So, that's my experience at Raw and SmackDown. Just want to give you guys my thoughts on it. Sorry for my old-ass dog barking in the background. She just doesn't know why she barks now these days, even when nobody's here. But anyways, we're going to go ahead into our final break. When we come back, I'm going to give you a preview and predictions for the WrestleKingdom 12 show that's happening next Thursday and give you some goals and thoughts for myself heading into 2018. You're listening to episode 86 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast.
I'm not going to lie. We will rule the wrestling world.
As the new year is born, kingdom gates are opened, and titans shake the earth with war. The greatest wrestlers in the world, superstars of strong style, unchain their battle spirit and turn the Tokyo Dome into the ultimate battlefield.
What a fantastic, tremendous performer. But he's not the best in the world. I am the greatest of all time. I am the alpha of this business. And I'm gonna prove it. Because I'm challenging you, Kenny.
That was Chris Jericho, and he's just challenged Kenny Omega.
IWGP United States Champion Kenny Omega defends his title against the Ultimate Challenger, the Alpha Chris Jericho. Alpha versus Omega.
面白いな。やってやるぜ。
The longest reigning IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Kazuchika Okada, is closing in on the greatest number of consecutive defenses. But standing in his way is Tetsuya Naito. After years of feeling overlooked, Naito is determined to defeat Okada on the biggest stage of them all, WrestleKingdom 12. On January 4th, 2018, be witness to the unmatched fighting spirit between the masters of strong style. The best wrestlers in the world collide.
What will this era be all about?
At WrestleKingdom 12. Available only on NJPW World.
Alright guys, final segment of the show here. Get a preview WrestleKingdom 12 coming up next Thursday for the Tokyo Dome in Tokyo, Japan. This is going to be New Japan Pro Wrestling's WrestleMania. This is their biggest show of the year. I'm just going to run down the card real quick and then give you my thoughts overall. I'm going to be honest, with the exception of Omega against Jericho and Okada versus Naito, this show is really not piquing my interest from a top to bottom standpoint. I don't know what it is. I just think, for example, I'm not really that interested in the Cody Rhodes Kota Ibushi match. I wanted to see Cody Rhodes versus Ishii. Now that's just me. I'm not a big Kota Ibushi fan. I'm not. I enjoy his matches. It's fine, but as far as the character is concerned, I'm kind of indifferent to it. I just don't think it's cool that you have guys like Michael Elgin and Ishii and other guys in the show who've had really, really remarkable years and standout performances and breakout performances like a Juice Robinson as well, who are sitting on the sidelines in a gauntlet match for titles they probably won't win. And you're having these other matches like, yeah, okay, it's whatever, but let's look at this. I'm always excited to cover a New Japan show, and I'm pretty sure this show will be no different, even though I have my differences in certain matches. We'll start off with the beginning here. Obviously, we'll have the New Japan Rumble. Those participants have yet to be announced. Don't forget, I'll be covering WrestleKingdom live this Thursday on ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. That show will be live up in the morning, rise and shines and dazzle with yours truly. I'll be covering that show. So the first one on the main show is Roppongi 3K show and Young against the Young Bucks for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. The second match will be the Bullet Club, Bad Luck Fale, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa against Chaos members Beretta, Tomohiro Ishii, and Toriano. Michael Elgin and War Machine are the tag team. Taichi, Takashishi, Iizuka, and Zack Sabre Jr. are tag team partners representing Suzuki Gun. And Taguchi Japan representatives will be Juice Robinson, Raizuki Taguchi, and Togi Makabe. So this is a gauntlet match for the never open weight 6-man tag team titles. This one should be pretty crazy with the participants are in there, especially Ishii and Makabe if they get into a forearm exchange. That's definitely going to happen. Cody Rhodes against Kota Ibushi. This is just a singles match. This will not be for the Ring of Honor World title. So this is just a match. Pretty sure Cody will win that one. Killer Elite Squad against Los Ingobernables de Japón, Evil and Sonata for the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles. That one might surprise some people. I'm looking forward to that one. Minoru Suzuki versus Hiroki Goto, loser haircut and no seconds death match for the Never Openweight Championship. That should be a barn burner. Marty Scurll against Hiromu Takahashi, Kushida, and Will Ospreay. Fatal 4-way match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. If it was me, I would have this match start off the show. High pace, high intensity. All 4 of these guys could go. I would have these guys start off the show. This is one of the matches I'm kind of indifferent to. Hiroshi Tanahashi against Jay White for the IWGP Intercontinental title. I think it's pretty simple that Tanahashi's going to win unless he has this major surgery he has to get soon. I'm not sure about that. Kenny Omega against Chris Jericho, no DQ match for the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship. This is going to be a no disqualification match, so there's some chaos here, and I want to give a shout out to my old colleague Michael Wiseman from Between the Roads, who mentioned this on the podcast this week. I do think Chris Jericho will beat Kenny Omega, and the Bullet Club will turn on Kenny Omega. That'll probably be the big surprise for the New Japan show next Thursday. Finally, Kazuchika Okada against Tetsuya Naito, the main event of WrestleKingdom, the way it should be, the IWGP Heavyweight title. I think Naito will become your new IWGP Heavyweight Champion coming up next Thursday, live from the Tokyo Dome. Don't forget the show will be called by Don Callis and Kevin Kelly. This may be Don Callis' last show for New Japan, especially with the fact that he's transitioning into an executive role with Impact Wrestling heading into 2018. It's going to be a very interesting show. This will be the 4th WrestleKingdom show that I've covered live in the last 4 years, and I'm looking forward to it. This should be a very fun and entertaining show from top to bottom. Even if there's matches that I'm personally indifferent to, I think there's a reason for you guys to watch the show, just besides Omega and Jericho. It's a nice spectacle. Let's not make this about WWE. WrestleKingdom 12 is a celebration of New Japan. This is their biggest show of the year. Let's focus on them. This is a celebration of their year as a company. Let's not make it about WWE. They're not competition. Let's stop with the BS. All right. There's a little preview there for WrestleKingdom 12 coming up next Thursday. Bookmark ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com to find my play-by-play article for that particular show. Lastly, and certainly not least, I have some goals for myself heading into 2018. And I'm not really one to make resolutions. I'm more of an action more than words type of person. I know I'm going to be talking about goals, but I'm more of a person that goes after my goals than just talking about it. I think I could differentiate goals from resolutions. Like for me, I'm good with looking myself in the mirror and knowing things I have to change. So that's not an issue for me. Like everybody's like, oh, what's your New Year's resolution? Yeah, you're going to tell me what your resolution is and you're going to flop on it the next week. Like, I'm kind of indifferent to that part of the holiday. Oh, what's your resolution this year? Well, the same shit the last 5 years? So, it's don't worry about making resolutions. Think about what you need to do and go after it. Don't say it, do it. I have goals and things that I'm going after and I'm going to accomplish. And there's things I'm looking forward to in 2018. I'm excited that I'm going to New Orleans next year for WrestleMania. I'm excited to hang out with Brother Carter and Adam and all the good people that I became friends with through this platform to hang out in New Orleans. I'm excited for that. I have other goals personally that I want to accomplish. I personally want to get back to the full, complete shape that I was in high school when I was playing football. I'm in the beginning of that process since I've been going back to the gym. And some days have been easy, some days have been not. I go just about 3 times a week or 4 if I need an extra day. But heading into 2018, I'm going to go back into it full steam ahead and go deep into it. And I have to remind myself too, this is more of a cardio thing than just doing weights. When I was doing the weights in the same training stuff I did in high school, I was a lineman. I was a defensive lineman, so I had to focus more on weights than cardio. But this is a little something different for me. It helped me out from a health standpoint, but also from a personal standpoint too. And it's a challenge that I think I'll conquer. Just like Brock Lesnar, right? He conquers his challenges. I conquer my challenges too. And I'm going to make that happen. And I'm already seeing the difference in myself than where I was last year, so I think that's progress. And you gotta take this one week at a time. I wish I could lose gazillion amount of weights at a moment at a time, but I go as hard as I can in moderation, and I go about it the right way where I'm not overdoing it, and I go 3 times a week, and I make the most out of it. And I haven't been drinking pop a lot in the last couple months. It's been more water. I joke around with my friends that I became a waterholic for the last half of the year, and this is something I will conquer and I will accomplish. And I think everybody who's been supporting me and going back to the gym and not judging me for it, I want to say that really quick. So that's something that's one of my goals for this year. Another goal for me is to further expand the brand of my website, ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. I'm very proud of that website, what's accomplished so far, and the amount of clicks we've been getting recently for our recent articles. I want to thank you guys for supporting it, especially the Wrestling Rewind portion of the website. Those are throwback articles on the website. I thank you for the support for that, and I truly appreciate that. As far as goals for this podcast, it's something that's going to develop over time. I don't have a set plan as far as where I think this podcast can go in 2018. I want to strive to get better. I'm not worried about consistency because I'm very consistent with what I do. Contrary to popular belief, I don't just sit on my butt all day. There's times where I do a lot of research on the computer to make sure I get ready for the podcast, and doing articles and sending out applications and stuff. But I'm very headstrong with what I do in my career, and I take a lot of pride in what I do in my career. And this podcast is my baby, and you hear the passion that comes through my voice every time I do this podcast. My goal for this podcast this year is to make sure it's the top podcast out there. If I could get a contract with Podcast One and add this show, it would be an amazing honor and a blessing. But I want to make sure from a content standpoint, I want to make this the best podcast that it could be. I promise you guys that I'm going to bring Adam back on the show at some time. We're going to work it out together, and we're going to have a reunion. The 2 best podcasters in the wrestling game back together doing what we do best and shooting the shit and having fun with each other. I'm going to promise that will happen. Other stuff professionally that I want to do, I think sooner or later a door will open. I haven't been forcing the issue, but I apply myself a lot. I send out a lot of applications, and I try to redo some stuff. I have to redo a demo soon. I got to do that. But I do feel in due time I am going to get an opportunity, and the door will finally open for me to work at a radio station. I want to make sure that happens by the time 2018 ends. I'm going to keep applying to myself. But I mentioned before on Twitter, I can't display my true skills if I'm not given the platform. Anybody that opens the door for me will not regret it. I'm a very driven individual, and for those who provide the opportunities for me to be on their platform and their company, I make the most out of those opportunities. I did it with Between the Ropes. I did it with WrestleZone. I did it with MindandCarnage.com. I did it with ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. I just need a foot in the door. Is that it? That's it. I just need a foot in the door. And I'm going to keep applying myself and networking with people and make sure I better myself as an on-air performer and refreshing my producing skills. And that's a lot of fun with doing these audio podcasts with these segments and the clips before we go into these next segments and transitioning and all that. I take great pride in making sure this podcast is different from others, where a lot of these clips that are on the show are basically the talking points behind the segments I do on these shows. So, context, people. Very important, context. And that's pretty much it, man. 2018 should be a very interesting year, and I'm going to make the most out of every opportunity that comes my way. You're still going to get the very consistent, dedicated performer you listen to every single week. Whether it's with my articles or this podcast, I will never slow down. I'll never slow down. I'm going to keep hitting it better in the gym and grow from it. And it's helped me feel better as a person. Personally, I'm not in the position where I feel like I have to impress people anymore. The only person I need to impress is the man upstairs and myself. I'm my harshest critic. There's nobody on this earth that's harder on me than myself, to a fault. And I want to grow every year, just like anybody does. I want to be better too. You know, I'm not perfect. There's mistakes that I made and I'm not proud of, but I grow from it and I learn from it. And the positive reinforcement and finding these quotes on Twitter and Facebook and sharing it to you guys, I like doing that because it keeps me humble, and I get to remind myself about what's really important about life, and spreading good vibes and making people feel good about themselves. So that's something I'll continue to do in 2018. And as far as the rest of the year is going to be concerned, it's all about action. I keep applying myself. There's things that are going to be out of my control, and I understand that. But everything that I do or everything I accomplish going forward in 2018 and 2019 is because I've earned it and I've taken it. It's that simple. I applied action. I didn't just speak about it, I did it. And that's my mindset going forward. And hopefully you can do the same thing with what you want to do in your career. Don't let anybody, and I mean anybody, tell you that you cannot do something. No matter what your circumstances. I'm in different situations than people were than people were my age. I'm pretty sure you are too. Take control of your life and do what you want to do. If broadcasting is what makes you happy and you want to be better at it and you want to prove people wrong, go ahead. You want to do music? Do it. You want to be a writer? Do it. And that's pretty much it. That's my goals for 2018, and right there, that's going to be our final podcast of 2017, I promise. So, just really quick, I'm going to give out some shout-outs. Shout out to the good brother B-Rob at Twitter at It's B-Rob. Check out the 3R show, Random Ramblings with Rob. Check out Brother Carter on Universal Chatter. Follow me at Twitter at Derrico06. Shout out to Anthony DeStefano at Twitter at Rant with Ant. And shout out to my good brother Adam Daly at AdamDaily13. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Notorious Joshi. In Instagram at Notorious Joshi as well. Make sure to like the Facebook page, facebook.com/JWL Podcast. Shout out to my good brothers Mike, Steve, Jeremy, Sam, Brandon, Steve Muhlhausen, Steve Ronda, etc., for continued support for this particular podcast. You guys are the true MVPs. I appreciate the love and support you give this podcast. Shout out to my brothers from the Sports Drive crew, Justin, Browning, Frank, and the Snowman for being good brothers as well. And once again, thank you, the listener, for giving your boy a chance. And I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. And with that being said, I have one more thing to share for you guys as we head into 2018. It's a little dose of my favorite artists of all time, giving you some good music to listen to. We'll be back here next week talking about the first Raw and SmackDown of 2018. And oh, by the way, nobody's told you this, but I'm going to say more in depth next week. But just think about it. Batista is winning the Royal Rumble match. I'm out. Peace.
First thing we need to do is everybody get up out their seats. We about to flip this for real.
Check it out. Throw your hands up in the air.
What?
Throw your hands up in the air.
What?
Throw your hands up in the air.
What?
Check it out.
Check it out. First things first, I pop up freaks, all the honeys, dummies, Playboy bunnies, those wanting money. Those the ones I like cause they don't get Nathan but penetration unless it smells like garbage. I turn like doorknobs, heart throb never, black and ugly as ever. However, I stay Gucci down to the socks, rings and watch filled with rocks, and my jam knock in the Mitsubishi. When they see me, now the hoes creep me and they TP as I lay it, cop it, stop it. If you think you're gonna make a profit, don't see my ones, don't see my guns, get it? Now tell your friends, Papa hit it, then split it in two as I flow with the Junior Mafia. I don't know what the hell's stopping ya. I'm clocking ya, Versace shade watching ya. Once you grin, I'm in, game begin. First I talk about how I dress is this and diamond necklaces, stretch Lexuses, the sex is just immaculate. From the back I get diva. Help you reach the climax that your man can't make. Call him, tell him you'll be home real late and sing the break.
Yeah, come on, throw your hands in the air.
What?
Everybody throw your hands in the air.
What?
Come on, throw your hands in the air.
What?
Everybody throw your hands in the air.
What?
Yeah, take it out.
Sing it.
Do your mafia.
What?
Yeah.